So welcome to Office Hours. Today, we're going to be talking about purpose and how cultivating purpose relieves anxiety and supports well-being, and actually, from what the evidence shows us, might do so better than only pursuing our passions. But let's start with what the difference is between purpose and passion, because that's not always clear. So a passion is something that makes you feel good, enthusiastic, joyful. In cultures like ours that value independence and self-expression, it follows, right? It makes a lot of sense that doing what makes you feel good should make you happy. But what quite a bit of research has shown over the past decade or two is that counterintuitively, when we prioritize passion, we actually over time end up feeling less happy, and we're at higher risk for depression, especially when our passions don't work out. So in some ways, that makes a lot of sense as soon as you dig in on that, because when you equate your well-being with success in your passion, right, with what you feel you're called to do and need to do in this life, then you become subject to those passions. And when it doesn't quite work out the way you envisioned, it can really start to be a roadblock. And I think about this a lot too, not just with, talking with adults, but actually talking with educators, talking with kids. We always encourage kids to pursue their passion. And I don't think that's altogether wrong, but I think purpose might serve better in that educational setup too, as kids are trying to find their place in the world. And that's because purpose is really about goals that are both personally meaningful and consequential for the world. And what this research that shows that passion might actually have some downsides to it, what this research conversely shows is that those who regularly engage in more inherently purposeful actions, things like expressing gratitude or persisting in important goals despite obstacles or volunteering to help others, people who have more of the sense of purpose in their life report greater well-being and life satisfaction than those who focus instead on maximizing pleasure and avoiding pain and, focusing on this passion part of the equation. So again, if we can encourage ourselves, encourage our families, our kids to not just do what they feel passionately good about, but actually to spend time on these things that matter to ourselves in the world, I think that they'll be better equipped to live a joyful life, a life well lived. So this approach, I think, is an important one to really dig in on in our own lives and in the lives of those we love. Now, there's a field of research called self-affirmation that really confirms this approach. They've shown for many years that when you take time to express your purpose, that is what you hold dear, what matters to you and the world, and why, that this can actually have huge positive benefits. There's a researcher, in particular Cohen and his colleagues coming out of Stanford, who over the past 20 years have shown that taking time to express your purpose, your sense of what matters to you, what you hold dear, when you take time to do that, not only will that improve your mood, it has these huge positive benefits for things like concentration, learning, the quality of your relationships, and even physical health. So this is really a very powerful thing to focus on and amplify in your life. And I'm going to just walk you through this exercise briefly. We can't take the whole time that's needed to do this exercise. It takes just about 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really brief, but what I'll do is I'll walk you through how to do this today. And I'll be sharing these slides afterwards so that you can try it on your own. And again, it just takes a handful of minutes. And according to quite good and replicated research, it really can have a positive benefit. So you start here, which gives you kind of a starting point for a list of characteristics and values, some of which may be important to you and some of which may not. So take just a minute now and just take a look at this list of values. And what you'll do when you do this exercise fully on your own is you'll rank order them, with 1 being the most important and 11 being the least important. And some may be tricky to rank, but when you do this really, and you may even now be looking, saying, oh, well, I think this is maybe these two tie for number one, or these are my top three. Really take time to just rank order them. Force yourself to say 1, 2, 3, all the way to 11 in terms of what's important to you. And I like this exercise because you also see a range of things, everything from physical attractiveness, right, to artistic skills, to being really good at business, to having, social skills. So as you can see here, these aspects of self, of they're purposeful because they really give you a sense of meaning in your life. They don't have to be grand. They don't have to be the things that you feel you should value in life. It's just ways that you really identify yourself. So now once you've made this list, you take your top ranked value and you write about it or talk to someone about it for 3 to 5 minutes about a specific concrete personal experience in which your top ranked value was important to you, or in which you pursued it in a way that made you feel this great sense of purpose, of fulfillment, of really being fully yourself. And you want to start with your, number one value. And then you can also do the top 3 if you want to go on, especially if those were hard to rank order. And so again, just for 3 to 5 minutes to talk out loud, talk to someone, or write about a personal, concrete experience in which, being socially skilled, and that could mean like kind to others. It could mean, whatever you want it to mean, really, whether that, that experience, what it was, what happened, and why it was important to you and made you feel fulfilled or good about yourself. And so again, just taking a few minutes for each. I'm actually going to pause since we have time, and maybe you'd like to take just a couple minutes and pick one of these values. It's 4:42 right now. I'm going to give you just 2 or 3 minutes to just contemplate this and think about it for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and we can talk about it at the end. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to write for a couple minutes. Just finish up, if you are writing it, please finish up the sentence that you're writing. So I want to share with you an example that I wrote to give you a sense of this. I picked social skills as a top value, a characteristic and value that makes me feel more fully myself. And and this was a small thing, but I remembered just the other day, I took time out of a busy day to buy some birthday gifts for two of my dear friends. And I'm just reading what I wrote here. I felt good making the time for this on my busy day. And it made me remember that I'm a person who feels connected to others. I have friends that I love and care about and who care about me in turn. And then I went on to describe, I was running out of time, but I went into describing the items and why I thought they were particularly beautiful. And just as I got deeper, again, I wanted to get that detail about the items because I bought things that I myself would love. And the thought of doing that for my dear friends made me feel more fully anchored in my connections with them, my values. So that's just one small example. And I hope it illustrates to you that it doesn't have to be some grand achievement. It's just one experience that you put detail and time into describing that helps you really contemplate this important value or characteristic that makes you who you are. That's part of this sense of purpose, what you value and what's meaningful to yourself in the world. And so just to end, I wanted to mention one more thing before we go into our discussion time. Something for you to consider, that our goals and our purposes, these things that matter to us in the world, are often in tension, that is, with our negative experiences. So we have to explore our willingness to feel all sorts of feelings and try out, kind of these challenges, try them on, try it out for size. So for example, this sentence, I am willing to have XYZ feelings, fill in the blank, in order to do that something you care about. So for example, if I want to have real relationships with people, I must risk being rejected, feeling lonely, feeling hurt, feeling let down, right? So this is sort of an algorithm, to have adventures. Maybe you really care about being adventurous in your life. I must be willing to sometimes feel out of control, feel disappointed, feel it wasn't as good as I thought it was, right? Feel sad when it comes to an end, but that's what it takes. I have to be willing to risk those difficult feelings in order to have these things that really matter to me and are my sense of purpose. So you can, think about having this sort of sentence, this algorithm of really digging deeper into how to pursue more purpose and what you're willing to do to have that sense of purpose in life.